Hello and welcome to the Lincolnshire Buzzcast, a podcast where we take a real life humorous look at life in Lincolnshire, as well as interview some amazing people who are doing some fantastic things in the county. I'm Lizzie.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Hannah.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Lincolnshire Buzzcast. Today we are missing our usual Daniel Carter because he is on some well-deserved leave from work. So that does mean that we can say anything about him and he can't argue back, which is marvellous. He'll be listening to this and getting worried right now, which is great. But we have a special guest with us today. We've got Pete Storey, who is the owner and head chef of the George in Barton, which has also won several awards, including the Select Lincolnshire Restaurant of the Year, current and reigning champion of. So welcome to the podcast, Pete.
Hello, how are you?
Fantastic. So Pete, we wanted to talk to you about lots of things today, but obviously we have got you well timed on this podcast because one of the most recent things that has happened in the world that everyone is getting excited about is the fact that pubs everywhere have opened. Well, not everywhere, in lots of places, but the George in Barton has not. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's it's difficult for pubs, and like us, we don't have a great outdoor space. It's one of the main things that we really lack here at our site. So we've got a small decking area out the back, which I've been marketing that as being ginger friendly. I'm ginger myself as well, so I can say that, it doesn't get any sun at any point during the day. So even the few tables we've got out there are kind of well shaded. So it's a ginger friendly beer garden. But we would basically only get 12, 13, 14 people out there at any one time. So unfortunately, it's just not financially viable for us to be able to open up, given the kind of current circumstances.
Which is fair enough. But you have actually adapted quite well in lockdown in terms of the fact that you've started to offer a different service. Do you want to tell everyone about that?
Yeah, so obviously, like many pubs, we're doing takeaway service. We were quite lucky that it was something we were already looking at. So way back over a year ago now, it seems crazy how fast this last year's gone, given what's happened and the fact that we've not really been able to experience life the same way that we have done. We were already looking at doing takeaway food service back before kind of COVID was a thing. So luckily we were a little bit ahead of the game, and that first weekend when the pubs were told to shut before the lockdown, we were doing takeaway food deliveries around the town then, and we've done them every week since.
And how's it gone? Because I know you've offered lots of different varieties. You've had different themed nights and things like that. As the locals really responded well to it.
Yeah, it has gone down really well. The theme nights have been great all round. So on a Thursday, we just offer the theme night, and it changes every week. So it might be like an Italian theme one week where you'll get a lasagna, garlic bread, some handmade ravioli, some salad, tomato, mozzarella salad. So you basically pay £10 and you'll get 5, 6, 7 little dishes. And, it's there just as like a family meal as much as anything. You can pop loads of stuff out on the table and everyone can kind of dig into it. So that's been really well received, and it's been great for us as a kitchen team as well, because it means that we're cooking different stuff, and it's kept our minds interested and occupied in things. I've made a couple of bits that I've never made before, and learned some new things just from trying out different styles of food. We did a Turkish theme a couple of weeks ago, so we made like a peed bread, which is like a Turkish flatbread, and it's got a spiced beef topping to it. So things like that I've never done before. So it's been good to try different things and add new string to our bow as well.
Yeah, although I think you are doing yourself underselling yourself by referring to yourself as family food, because I know it is for the family and actually priced very well for the family. But like yours is definitely not the average pub grub, I would say. Yours is pub grub with a epic flair. we certainly try and put more into it than like say your general pub grub. Just things like the scampi that we offer. It's not
that kind of like mushed prawn in breadcrumb that you would get at a normal pub. We're getting in the whole tail whole. We breadcrumb it and deep fry it to order ourselves. So it's like the thing with scampi. I've always said it's a bit like a chicken nugget, and you can get, you know, if you're doing a chicken nugget and it's that kind of processed, horrible, mushy, slimy kind of filling. It's the same with scampi, and you get that everywhere, and it's this kind of horrible processed thing. Whereas actually, if you use good quality core ingredients and do it fresh, then, you know, it tastes a million times better. And we often get good comments about the scampi, and generally people saying that it's, you know, the best scampi they've had, and it's because it's, you know, proper, authentic product.
Yeah, definitely something I would recommend for you, Hannah, when you're down this way and things open again, because not only does he do excellent food for people, he also feeds dogs. It's not just dog food, is it? It's actual people food for dogs.
So the chefs are able to prepare a selection of doggy menus, doggy dishes from our menu. So we have even just things like sausage and mash that are on there. You know, things that that kind of humans would normally have, and stuff that's slightly a little bit more tailored to dogs. So we do like a flaked white fish with rice, so it's, you know, fairly kind of healthy.
Hannah wants to eat from the dog menu, I think.
I do. I've got Dexter here with me. He's listening along. Is Dexter? Do you like the sound of that, buddy? Yeah, you like the sound of it?
Genuinely, we do a chicken and sweet potato casserole. I had that for my staff lunch one day. I'm not joking. Like we made a batch up, and I was like, I'm having some of this.
You like chicken and sweet potato, don't you?
We obviously have to be careful with some of the ingredients that we put in there. We're aware of things like onions and you know, dried fruits, raisins, things like that, where you've got to be careful with what dogs are eating. So we're aware and cautious of that. But generally the food's kind of human safe.
Nice. I think me and Dexter will be having a trip there.
Yeah, it's a good testament to how well you value the food if you yourself are willing to eat it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I put mine on a plate though, not on a bowl. I know.
Oh, well, it's not the full experience.
It's not quite. I had a knife and fork. we did have someone. Genuinely, we had someone when we first opened and we'd first said about the dog menu. Someone said, "Well, I'm not going in there because they let the dogs eat off the same plates, and it was on this dog menu." And it's like, no, we serve them in dog bowls. Like we don't put plates of food down for the dogs to eat off. Like that's disgusting. That's taking it too far.
No,
maybe they were pitching in like an actual dog table with the plates, like candles and stuff, like got a little date with the dog. Maybe they sit on the table with you. It would be an interesting restaurant, but it's not really the one that you're running.
No, definitely not. Not the image that we wanted to put out there as well. So we are blessed that we've got quite a big space. We don't allow dogs in the main restaurant, so you know, people can come in and enjoy, you know, good restaurant quality food, and you know, not have a great Doberman set next to them drooling away. You know, eyeing up the steak.
It's good because my dog would be going table to table.
Mine would. Yeah, Pippa would as well. To be fair, she'd just be sat there, kind of dripping from both corners of her mouth.
Oh, you've got a Pippa.
I've got a Pippa. Yes, I've got a little Pippa.
You've got a Pippa. We've got a Pip, short for Philip. We've got my version.
Well, she gets called Pip a lot.
Does Pippa taste your food?
Well,
every time I take Pip to vets, he gets called she, and I'm like,
he. Pippa loves a Sunday because obviously I come home like Sunday we're carving meats and stuff like that, so you get some of the little scrappy bits. So Sunday I will literally come home with like a 3 kilo tub of like scraps and like even just stuff what people have left on the plate. So if they've left like a little bit of mash and some veg or something like that, all the staff know, pop it in the Pippa pot, and like any beef, like all the fat and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going home and she gets fed off that for the next couple of days. Mixed in with her dog food. So she's certainly well looked after.
I'm going to say, I thought my dogs were spoiled, but blooming heck.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's good. It's good that I'm in that kind of position where, at the end of the day, it's food that's going to end up going into the bin, and it's it's perfectly edible. So yeah, why should she not have it and enjoy it for the next few days? Even stuff like what people might not think of at home with regards to it, like broccoli stalks. If you're preparing broccoli, you're taking the florets off the top, and sometimes you're left with this really big stalk. Dogs love that. You chop that up, don't cook it. It gives it a bit of texture and stuff as well. Chop that up into chunks and pop it in with the dog food. It's not costing you anything. It's a byproduct. It's less food going to waste, and it's feeding your dog, and your dog's getting much more of a healthy, varied diet as well.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a dog nutritionist or anything.
I feel like you could be.
No, yeah.
I was just going to say, obviously, certainly always worth just double checking what you can and can't give your dogs. There was a few things when I started looking into it that I was a bit like, oh right, okay, didn't quite realise how toxic they can be to dogs. So the aluminum family, onions, things like that are quite kind of high up there. You've got to be careful with that. And even just the salt content in some of the human foods, not great for dogs. And it depends on the size of your dog as well. Obviously, we kind of categorise dogs as kind of one being, but if you've got a little Chihuahua compared to a Great Dane, that Great Dane's going to have a little bit more tolerance as to what your little yappy Chihuahua might be able to handle.
Look, owners of Chihuahuas everywhere are appalled by that comment.
Yeah, exactly.
How dare you?
Yeah. Well, I must admit, out of our two, Pip absolutely loves fruit and veg. He loves banana bits, and broccoli is one of his favourites. Yeah. He genuinely loves broccoli. If you give broccoli to Dexter, he looks at you like you have, pooed on his dinner, to be honest. Yeah. He will not eat any fruit or veg. He just looks at it like, what on earth is that? What, you're trying to poison me? he just will not eat fruit and veg.
I don't know if you've noticed, but Hannah's dog's very much like her children. They all very much have their own personalities. Dexter's not a dog. Dexter's people, and he gets really annoyed if you call him a dog, actually.
Right, okay, fair enough.
Whereas Pip is, they're both border collies, but Dexter's not really a border collie, whereas Pip is classic border collies, isn't he?
Yes, very much so. Yeah, Pip is currently downstairs. Oh, yes. Yeah. Pip's downstairs waiting for food, whereas Dexter is sat here now trying to join in, and I'm having to hold his mouth shut because he will start talking soon.
Actually hold his mouth shut, listeners. He's no distress at all.
No distress to Dexter. He's sat here and I'm rubbing his nose and keeping him entertained so that he doesn't start piping up and wanting to get involved in the conversation.
So, Pete, a good question for you is, obviously you cook lots of different things all the time. You do lots of theme nights and things like that. But what is your favourite dish? What's your favourite? If you're feeling really rubbish.
You've stolen my question.
Well, you didn't ask it. If you're feeling really rubbish, like really low, what's your go-to dish that makes you feel awesome?
Oh, well, they're two different questions. The dish, the meal that I would go to if I'm feeling a bit like rubbish, a bit low, if I want a bit of energy and a bit of a pick-me-up, it's got to be a roast dinner. And I would say I probably, at home, I cook chicken more for a roast. I love a chicken roast. I think they're very underrated. I think when I go out, I would generally tend to eat beef, but that's because my partner's vegetarian, so obviously I'm not going to cook off a big joint of beef at home just to eat myself. So yeah, at home I would roast chicken, because the great thing about roasting a chicken at home is you've got that chicken for the next couple of days as well, and you can make 3 or 4 different meals for one person out of that roast chicken.
My partner has the same issue with me being a vegetarian.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
cooks the chicken and lives off it in various sandwiches.
Yeah. There's loads of things you can do with them, and then even when you've run out of meat, you've got some bones to be able to make a soup out of when you get to Tuesday. I think comfort foods, a roast chicken dinner with proper chicken gravy. And I don't mean any of the granules that you would buy at the supermarket. I'm talking about using that chicken juice that it's come out of when you've roasted. proper chicken gravy over mashed potato is amazing. I think that those two things, chicken gravy and mashed potato, is just a winner. Yeah. Big time.
Well, actually, you can settle a debate for us. So,
Pick the right answer here because it's quite a debate.
No. So, no, it's not the scone debate. It's not the scone debate.
I didn't think it was going to be the scone debate.
Don't start. So it's not the scone debate. You might have listened to one of the previous podcasts where one of our students said. She said that food tastes different outside.
Okay.
Now, we don't necessarily think that food tastes different outside, so we use the analogy that a piece of kale doesn't taste like a Mars bar outside.
Yeah, okay. I would agree with that.
She said better. She said if you're eating the food inside, you can be eating away. She said, this is all right. And then you take that same dish outside and you're like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever eaten because there's something about eating outside that makes it better.
Yeah. So we agreed with that food tastes better al fresco. Newsflash, Danny didn't know what al fresco means, and I can say that because he's not here and I'm going to pick on him.
No, he thought he was making it Italian, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like, so it's a weird way of cooking in Italian. So, yeah, we agree that food maybe tastes better when you're outdoors because it's al fresco and you've got the nice outside and all that kind of stuff. But I decided to take it one step further and decided to layer my food in different orders. So the same meal, but in different orders. So like you were saying, with your roast chicken dinner, eating like your chicken with some mash and a bit of cauliflower cheese on your fork, it tastes different if you layered it differently. So if you add chicken first, then cauliflower cheese, then you mash on top, it'd taste different to if you had cauliflower cheese first, bit of mash, and then chicken on top.
Right, okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting
Pete's looking at you like you are. I mean, no one can see this because this is an audio podcast, but Pete's looking at you like, I'm not quite sure how I answer this question without saying you are off your rocker, lady.
To be fair, there's probably, if you were to go into the microbiology of it, depending on what had more fat content, because when you eat fat, it coats your tongue and it will change your taste buds.
Yes, yes! This is the answer! Yes!
In theory, if you've got kind of like a thick cheese sauce and that's hitting your taste buds first, then I guess that could mean that you perceive the rest of the food that's in your mouth differently. But that's, I think we're talking like really microbiology, way above my pay grade.
That. Yes. With the fat hitting your taste buds first, how would you have your scone?
As I would call it a scone, like you're supposed to.
Yes! Pete, we are from the same village.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. We went to different schools though, didn't we? So I obviously went.
School.
I went to the right secondary school.
I went to the superior secondary school.
So Lizzie, let me ask you, those those orange things that they put out on a motorway at roadworks. What are they called?
Yes, that is a cone.
A cone, right? So put an S in front of the word cone.
No. How would you say gone? You wouldn't say gone, would you?
No. But that's a different word entirely.
But you've done the same thing with a cone.
I've just added an S. I've just added the S to the front. Scone. Done.
Yeah, it's got a cone in it.
Anywho.
Scone aside, would you go cream jam or jam cream?
So
the fat hitting your taste buds first and then the jam? Or
so this is a little controversial because I'm actually from Devon and there's a Devon way and a Cornwall way. So I'd say I'm from Devon. I was born in Devon and moved up here when I was 2. I actually go Cornish way, which is jam and then cream.
Yes! On your face! And he's an expert.
You know what? And she was like, he's going to say cream and jam. Yeah, so for me, there's a reason behind that, and that's because I like my scone to be warm, so I don't want the cream to melt. Yes. So if I've got warm, I want that jam that layer to kind of be a bit of a heat barrier, if you like. So then the cream went more on top.
Yes.
Very good ethos behind it. I prefer jam first because I prefer to spread the jam and then just dollop the cream rather than spread the cream on top. I feel like it should be a dollop, not a spread.
Yeah,
that's why I like it that way.
This is why I can see it
the incorrect way.
See, this is why I can see it both ways, because I agree with that. I agree that if you've got the heat, you don't want it in some sort of blurry mess of just condiments on top, do you? Like, you don't want that. So I totally agree with that. But if you're going to have scone cream jam, I think that gives you, when you bite into it, and we're talking about hitting the taste buds first and all that, if you have it that way around, you get the sweetness of the jam and the, here we go again, creaminess of the cream. And then if you're having a fruit scone, you then get the sweetness of the fruit in the scone. So you're not getting a double hit of sweetness together. You're having the cream to calm down the sweetness in between. See, that's
and I calm my sweetness.
Some logic there, I guess. But
so you're not
swaying me the other way.
Sweet. Oh.
Sorry. Not sorry.
I'm just going to knock that on the and while I'm on a roll. If you were to have beans on toast.
Go on. Let's settle this once and for all, you weirdo.
Well, right.
Oh, I've just lost my headphones. Hold on. With the excitement. On our very first podcast, I made the mistake of randomly talking about, we were talking about flavour combinations of what people think are normal, and then they mention it to someone else and they're like, what is that?
Okay.
So I was raised on my dad, when we had beans on toast, he always had a glass of milk with that beverage.
What?
And I always think I can't have beans on toast without pairing it with a glass of milk, because it just reminds me of home. It reminds me of
Don't jazz it up now. You have milk on your beans on toast.
No, I don't put the milk. I don't put the milk on top of it. That's insane. But I just need the drink as well, and I think those elements go well together. These guys come off my rocker. You are an expert in taste.
I think the only milk that should be anywhere near your beans on toast is inside your cup of tea.
Yeah,
which has milk in it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
but
exactly. Yeah, you can put a bit of milk in your cup of tea. With regards to beans on toast, I don't do beans on toast. I do beans and toast. So I will put my beans in a little pot, and then have I cut my toast into squares when I have beans on toast, just so I want to feel like a 5-year-old again. And we'll have squares of toast, and I will literally spoon of beans on my toast and then eat it like with my hand, just so it stops your toast going soggy. Because I hate that when your toast absorbs all that tomato juice and it's all a bit floppy.
I get that.
Yeah.
But I hate it, and this might be controversial for you because I don't know if you do this or not. I feel like you could do. I hate it when I go to a restaurant and they put beans in a dish, because I feel like you get scramped on the beans a little bit. Like any breakfast you go to where the bean is in a pot, they don't give you as much beans as you need, and beans are relatively cheap, so I don't understand why that's the thing.
Depends on where you're having breakfast, I guess. So we put beans in pots on our breakfast, but they're in little presentation pans, which I can't think what size they would be, but I would say there's an ample. I would say there's a good amount of beans, because I like beans on my breakfast. I think beans are quite a critical part of a full meal.
If ample beans is fine, then the bean ratio is very key to a good.
But I get what you mean.
English
Sometimes you get these piddly little ramekin. You've got a couple of mouthfuls, and you're just like, we're going to need more beans here, love.
Yeah.
I bet you've asked that before, haven't you, in a restaurant?
Yeah.
Excuse me, love, we're going to need some more beans.
More beans, please.
But you don't have to pay £1 extra for it, though, do you? That's the point.
It depends where you are, though, doesn't it, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. But bean ratio, mega important. I've got that under control.
Well, then I'm going to throw a spanner at works here, because
can I interject? Just going back to a question that you asked earlier was, what's my favourite food?
Oh yeah,
the comfort food was the roast chicken. My favourite dish, both to cook and to eat, is a traditional Spanish paella. I love it. I absolutely love it. There's so much going on in one pan. flavour wise. And yeah, if I'm cooking and I think, right, I want something good here, I will turn towards a paella.
See, I've never had that because obviously it's got a lot of fish in it, and that's not why.
Yeah.
But there is a veggie version, is there not?
Yeah, you can do vegetarian versions of it. I've been known to cook Alex a couple of vegetarian paellas before as well, with kind of the well-known fake chicken chunks in there, which she seemed to enjoy. So that's all good.
So, Lizzie, I'm interested now. Then, what is your favourite meal? If you could have any meal in the entire world, because I don't think I know this about you, what is your favourite?
It's lasagna.
Meal?
Love it.
Hands
love
down,
veggie lasagna. Absolutely love it. Although it's my comfort food that I will eat very quickly. Pete won't like this because it's not nice or fancy at all. But my comfort food, if I'm feeling really, really low and it's very quick to make, is I like to get some macaroni cheese, some chips, some gravy, and some garlic bread. Because actually, gravy and garlic bread is quite nice. I happened upon it by accident because it was just next to some garlic bread was next to some gravy, and I was like, this is good.
And you think Iona's weird with a broccoli at middle at night?
It was a good flavour combination, but I do like that as a quick go-to. I mean, that's a beige meal. There's no vegetables.
It's very carb heavy as well. We've got pasta, bread, and chips all on one plate.
Hugely carby.
I love mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese. I think mac and cheese with Lincolnshire sausages, because you've got that peppery taste, and your Lincolnshire sausages, those two go really well together, actually.
Love mac and cheese. So yeah, that's a good. But as you say, it's very carby. I don't tend to eat it very often.
Yeah.
But veggie lasagna done well, because she can go some places and get some diabolical, flavourless, mushy rubbish. But a veggie lasagna, I think, never goes out of style. It's amazing. It's great. Although in Pete's restaurant, my favourite thing to have is this mushroom stroganoff, because it's just I've not had a better one.
Good shout.
It's plenty of cream in there. That's the key. I think it's like if you ever watch James Martin on This Morning, which I think most of us have probably seen more episodes of This Morning over this last year of lockdown than ever before. I certainly have. He literally just puts blocks of butter and cream in food like it's going out of date. But people always say, like, food just tastes better in a restaurant, doesn't it? And it's just because the chef's back there chucking loads of butter and loads of cream at everything.
But if I've not seen it, I can pretend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just easier to be ignorant on it and just be like, but yeah, butter and cream tastes good.
Yeah, I've got to admit, James Martin is one of my favourite TV chefs. I've seen him at Good Food Festival that they have in Birmingham. He's just so funny. He's just, like you say, he's like, none of this half-fat stuff, and he just throws it in.
Yeah, he's just absolutely
incredible.
Down the middle,
and he's a Yorkshire lad. Just had to get that in there.
Lincolnshire Buzzcast, mate. Lincolnshire Buzzcast.
So, Pete,
what's yours then, Hannah?
Yeah,
you tell me yours.
Oh, okay. Well, I have got a question, but my favourite meal from a restaurant, to eat from a restaurant, is it's a restaurant in Malta, and I go to it every time I'm there, and it's called Spaghetti Tricolore. And it's essentially like a carbonara, but they put tomato and broccoli and the sauce is amazing. It's the most creamiest, nicest sauce in the world, with just a hint of pepper. Oh, it's incredible. That is, if I was on death row, that is my last meal. That is the meal I would want somebody to ship over from Malta for me. I'm not sure how they'd keep it warm, but I'd happily eat it cold, because I bet it tastes amazing cold as well. And it comes in a huge portion too. Really carby. But you're on holiday, aren't you? So
yeah, you've got to let your hair down on holiday. And I mean that metaphorically, because I've got straight out to the Turkish barbers this week. So fresh face.
Yeah, can you even class yourself as ginger anymore if there's nothing on top?
There's a fair bit on the beard still. The beard's holding out. There's a few grey.
Right. So can I ask, if you've got a ginger beard, do you class yourself as ginger regardless?
Yeah, I'm still ginger. Like it's just
Danny's ginger.
Me. Yeah, it's just me.
When Pete has hair, it is all ginger on the top. So, whereas Danny is very dark on top with just a ginger beard.
Yeah,
I'm defending him. He's not here. Why?
So you're not a day walker then, Pete?
No, I think if you were to ask people to name give if you were to describe Pete in 2 words, the first word would be ginger and the second word would be unaudible for this podcast. And there's various combinations, but they would always start with ginger, followed by another word.
A profanity.
Yeah, essentially.
He's a lovely man, really.
I can't remember what my question was now because you've had me chatting. I've turned into Danny and I can't remember any questions.
Oh, how quickly we descend into chaos. I was hoping without Danny here, we'd look crazy professional. Yeah, and then it would be like, wow, that was a really good episode. We'd be like, yeah, Danny really drags us down. Turns out he really keeps us on track. We're like 2 kids without their parents.
Don't know what you've got till it's gone.
Yeah, he's not here to be that voice of reason, is he? No, actually, I will ask a question for Danny, because you've covered sort of the eco-friendly side of your business, that you use your scraps and things like that. But Danny is vegetarian and he tries his very best to do vegan practices as well. So what do you have on your menu for the vegetarians and vegans out there?
Yeah, we've got quite a few things. Liz has obviously already mentioned the mushroom stroganoff. And generally what we can do with regards to vegan is we will kind of speak to a customer and see if there's anything in particular that they want. I'm always quite cautious about just popping like one vegan item on a menu and just saying, hey, if you're coming to eat here and you're vegan, this is what you're having, because you should still have some choice. But obviously it's difficult from the business point of view. We can't viably put on 5 or 6 different vegan dishes because there'll be prep involved in them, and they obviously don't get ordered as much as other dishes do. So it varies. We change our menu quite regularly in the restaurant, and we will just kind of see what other ingredients we're buying in, what's in season at the time that we can use to then kind of create other vegan dishes from there. We've got like a vegan platter on our starter, which is on our bar menu. So there's some homemade like little stuffing bowls on there. We get a Lincolnshire style vegetarian sausage mix that we make up, so that we can then make like little kind of vegan sausage balls, and we do that with some like obviously vegan garlic bread, and we do a homemade hummus, which we call like a Lincolnshire hummus because we use rapeseed oil in there. Traditionally hummus you would use like some sesame, whereas we use obviously rapeseed because we've got an abundance of it, so we get local rapeseed. So yeah, we make like a little Lincolnshire hummus. So there's a couple of like little dips and stuff like that on there that we can use. So that's quite popular. That's quite good for non-vegans as well, to be fair. It's quite a nice little sharing. I was just thinking, I quite
like the sound of that myself.
Yeah, and it works well as a starter to share for 2 people, or if you order a bowl of chips on the side of it, it works just as good as your main meal as well. But we've done things like even things a little bit more exotic, but they've still got Lincolnshire roots. Like we've done an aloo gobi, and we've used a Mr. Hudder's spice paste, who produces amazing flavours like these little pots of marinades and things like that. And he was originally based in Barton, the same town as us. I think he's now over in Scunthorpe. So we'll use that with some locally grown cauliflower, and use that with some Lincolnshire potatoes, some chickpeas, some poi lentils, some spinach, fresh spinach in there as well. Make like a little aloo gobi, which again, it's obviously a dish you would associate with Asian cuisine, but then we're still kind of bringing in that locality of the fact that we're using a local spice, we're using local cauliflower, local potatoes as well. So it's about kind of combining the two together, really.
So that's really important to you, isn't it? I know, like, throughout when you started off with Harrison's and you've gone here, that it is very much Lincolnshire produce. And when we started the Lincolnshire Buzzcast, you were probably one of the top people on my list that I said I wanted to get on, because you are very pro Lincolnshire, not just as in a county, but actually in the stuff that we produce. So why was it that you basically decided to do this in your business model and make sure that you championed local providers?
It just seemed to make sense for me that we did it, because we're genuinely really blessed with what produce we have available to us in this county. We've obviously got the fish side of things over in Grimsby, and the fresh fish that we get from there, and the smoked haddock that we get through the supplier there at Alfred Enderby's is just out of this world. I mean, Marco Pierre White's using the same smoked haddock on his menus, so it's it's obviously good stuff. We've been using it for years, and Marco's kind of jumped on the bandwagon about a year ago. So
I hear he's always following you on Twitter.
Yeah,
to follow
exactly.
Your twins.
Yeah, he's always trying to.
So I was like, what would Pete do?
There's going to be some aloo gobi on his menu in a few weeks, I think. But yeah, we've got great farmland. We produce good quality vegetables. We've got great farmland for cattle. Lincoln Red is becoming more prominent on menus and stuff as well, with regards to having that really good quality heritage steak, and just other things like there's a trout farm that we use down near Louth, and we get their trout sent up to the smokehouse in Grimsby, where it's then smoked and then sent back to us. So we've got kind of two smaller businesses working together to produce this amazing smoked rainbow trout. The cheesemakers in this county, the guys at Coat Hill, they've won multiple awards. Their Coat Hill Blue was listed in the top 64 cheeses in the world. Lincolnshire Poacher is obviously well known. I use that a lot instead of Parmesan. So any dishes like carbonaras and stuff, if we've got things like that on, we would substitute the Parmesan cheese for the Lincolnshire Poacher. Because it's just about, it's like, why should we kind of import all these ingredients in from far-flung places when we've got produce that's just as good in our local area? And it's better for the local economy. It keeps the money local. It keeps our food miles down, so there's an environmental positive to it as well. And I think people care about where the food comes from more as well now. I think there's much more prominence with regards to that kind of farm to fork, and knowing that your food has been grown locally and as environmentally friendly as possible. We only use free range pork. All our hens' eggs are all free range, etc. as well. So yeah, we try and do our little bit. I'm not a kind of eco warrior or anything like that, but we're always looking at ways that we can be mindful with the environment. All our takeaway packaging we've done throughout lockdown has all been kind of eco-friendly, compostable, or recyclable. We've made sure we've stayed clear of things like the polystyrene boxes and stuff like that. I see places doing them still, and it does make me wonder. I do kind of think, why are we still producing things like polystyrene when we know now how bad that is for the environment, and we know that isn't going to be going anywhere for years? Why, as a human race, are we still producing materials like that are just damaging the environment when there's other good options out there? I get it that some, when the paper straw thing first kind of kicked off, the paper straws weren't great. They go quite mushy and stuff like that, but they're getting better all the time, and it's now at a point where, for me, they're just as good as a plastic straw. So why are we still producing these materials that they're just not good?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's fantastic that you've taken a stance in your restaurant. Somewhere that people can go and support that thought as well.
Yeah, definitely. I have remembered my question. Can I ask my question now?
Maybe. We'll see what it is first.
Well, I remembered because we're talking about James Martin being an amazing Yorkshireman.
Not quite sure those were Pete's exact words, but I think
he's a good chef.
Yeah, he is. And that leads me on.
To be fair to
James,
just to be fair to him, like, he this, he's kind of similar to me. He's from Yorkshire and he's proud of that, and he champions that. And I can't fault him because he's the same. He will go off and champion the fact that you've got all these great Yorkshire produce, and good on him for kind of championing it himself and shouting about how good he thinks Yorkshire is.
I like how you got that in there.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I do want to know, who is your sort of inspirational chef or restaurateur?
So I think, it sounds a bit cliche, but I think probably the main one for me is Gordon Ramsay. When I kind of was at college, which would have been 16, 17 years ago now. I wasn't doing chefing at college. I was doing something completely different. But that was when Kitchen Nightmares had first kind of started on telly. And I loved it. And I saw that kind of, and all right, he was going in and doing the old shouty swearing thing. And there was just something that kind of caught my attention with that. And then when I actually went to open my own restaurant, my first place at Harrison's, I was 27, so I was still reasonably young. I actually just binged all of the Kitchen Nightmares, and I was just kind of absorbing stuff and just looking at things and going, well, yeah, he's right. Why have you got 60 items on your menu when you're not doing them all good? You should have a shorter menu. So I was able to pick up little bits and bobs like that, and he's worked really, really hard to get where he is. It's well documented that he had problems with his father. His brother was an addict, and it's the fact that he's come from such humble backgrounds and being able to get to the point where he's seen as one of the best chefs in the world, hats off to him. I think it's really inspirational.
Yeah, definitely.
Now I'm assuming you've taken obviously some lessons from him, but maybe this is a question for your staff. But I'm assuming you don't run such an angry kitchen as him. Maybe I don't see you as a shouty chef, or are you?
I've mellowed a lot as I've gotten older. To be fair, I think genuinely when looking back now, when I was 21, 22, then I probably was a little bit over enthusiastic in the kitchen, let's say. It was a good job I never worked in an open plan kitchen. I've had a few kind of spats where you get a bit shouty and a bit sweary, and a lot of that comes out of passion as much as anything. I've never been kind of cruel or vindictive to anyone because I want to be cruel or vindictive. It's a lot of it can be kind of frustration where someone's capable of doing better and then not producing the best food that they can produce, that essentially you've kind of got your name on. So if someone looks like they're just not caring that day and they're quite happy sending out mediocre food, it can rile you, it can kind of rattle you a little bit. And but I would certainly say I've definitely mellowed and kind of looked at that side of the kitchen. And I think the industry itself's changing a little bit as well, for the better. I think 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I mean, Gordon Ramsay, his first stint on telly was a show called White Heat, and that was way back when, and that was the kind of first introduction to Gordon Ramsay, and he's got people kind of pinned up to the side of a wall and shouting and effing and blinding at them and stuff like that. And I think it's all, it's a good thing that culture within kitchens is kind of, it's gone, it's getting eradicated, and that there's still some old school chefs that deal with staff that way, and think that's a good way to run your kitchen. But I'm a bit more arm around the shoulder kind of guy now. At a 2 meter distance, obviously, at the moment, though. Long arms.
it's been difficult for pub owners, more than most industries really, in this pandemic. I imagine the notice, if anything, that you've got that you need to close the pubs, and I know you were trying to give away takeaway things of pints and stuff to get rid of the barrels, and then having to order all that kind of stuff. Like, what has it been like to try and make these decisions quickly?
Yeah, it is hard. I remember that Friday night when Boris was making the announcement. I was driving back from the butcher's because it was Mother's Day weekend on the Sunday. So I literally had £600 worth of meat in the boot of my car, joints of beef and lamb and everything ready for this Mother's Day weekend. Listening to the radio on the way, and then, he's saying, close up as soon as you can, get your door shut, and that's it. And I literally walked into work, and all the staff at work were just like looking at me like, Pete, what's going on? What's happening? What we're doing? And I was just like, whoa, you guys are going to have to give me 10 minutes in my office upstairs just to get my head around this, because I don't know. And so, like you say, you have to try and react and make a decision. And to be honest, that night I went on Facebook and I said, look, we've got to close the pub. We've been told to close tonight, but we can still open tonight. So get yourself down the pub. Come on in. We've got some beer to sup, and we'll have a bit of a party and things like that. And obviously, it's not until now you look back and you think, actually, that wasn't the right thing to do. Then we've got so much more information on this virus, and you kind of look back and think, well, actually, no, we should have just closed up and. Soon, we was within our right. We haven't broken the law by staying open that night. But I just think from a moral side of things now, but that's hindsight, and that hindsight's only based on the knowledge that we have now. It was scary.
I imagine lots of people did the same.
Yeah, and you kind of there's a lot made about like the Cheltenham Festival that went on, and everyone's saying, oh, that shouldn't have happened, and it's easy to say that in hindsight, isn't it? But at the time they didn't feel like it was too much of a risk to for that to continue. So I don't claim to be perfect and to make the right decisions all the time, but I feel like we've handled things the best we can. We offered the rooms out for NHS workers to come, and if they need to self-isolate away from family or anything like that, we offered rooms to anyone that needed them. So we had a few people that stayed here, kind of on and off. A couple who worked, were both kind of key workers separately, but lived separately, and had kind of vulnerable parents. They wanted to kind of self-isolate away from their families somewhere together. So they ended up staying. They was here about 2 months, I think, in total. Which must have been difficult for them to then suddenly kind of find that you're living out of a pub bedroom, and she was a nurse, and she'll have been working, all the hours that they were given, and to then not be able to go home and put your feet up in your own house and chill out in your own bedroom, it must have been really tough for them. So. It's been tough all around, but at the end of the day, we're here, and we're looking forward now. And as things can get reopened, and lockdowns are starting to get eased and restrictions are lifted, then hopefully we can just move forward, and we won't be going backwards again. Fingers crossed.
What's it going to be like for you, do you think, that moment that you can actually, the night that you can open and have people in? Do you think it, obviously after it being so long, do you think it's going to feel quite weird to have a full pub, or is it just going to be like a moment of euphoria? Like can you even imagine it?
Yeah, I think there'll be a bit of both. I mean, obviously when we opened when pubs reopened last time, we actually didn't reopen that first weekend. Because we just didn't know what was going to happen. We were just a little bit unsure of how people would perceive the pubs, and obviously there was a bit of a weekend of mayhem. We've seen that a little bit in some places this week. Like Monday night, there was there's a few pubs where they've had various scenes and police and arrests and this, that, and the other. And I think that was inevitable. I think if you're opening pubs up, people are going to go out, and some people are going to go a little bit too far with it. So as we get closer to that time, we may even wait another week after, just to let some people get things out of their system somewhere else, and then open our doors the week later for more respectable clientele. Without sounding like a complete snob, but
I guess you've got your own health, your own staff's health.
Exactly.
You've got to please at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the same with that of the other customers as well. We, if we're opening our doors and customers come in and they don't feel safe from day one, then we've lost that custom. They're going to go and drink somewhere else where they feel safe, or they're just going to steer clear of pubs. So it can be really hard to control people who have had a drink. We had a couple of nights in the summer last year where we felt like we were kind of just on the brink of losing control of people, and dotting around from table to table and things like that. A couple of times where we just stopped serving at 9:30, kind of 10 o'clock, and we just said we're not serving anyone anymore. Just to try and regain control and take back the reins a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like it has been a tough experience for everyone, hasn't it? And it isn't the case of, pubs are open, everything's opening up. I think we'd still do, like you say, we still do need to be cautious in what we're doing. We can still enjoy ourselves, but we don't necessarily have to enjoy ourselves by, going over the top.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a sensible way of doing it, and we are more of a food-based pub as well, so we want to be able to open our doors and know that everyone feels safe to be able to come in and sit and have a nice meal, and just be able to relax and enjoy yourself a little bit more. That's certainly one of the things I've missed most over the last few months, is just being able to go out and have a nice meal somewhere and have someone else do the cooking, and it not be, a takeaway or something like that. Not eating out of the cardboard box.
A bit like a busman's holiday at home for you.
Yeah.
Do you only eat beans on toast when you get home because you're just bored of cooking?
Beans with toast and scones done properly.
Beans with toast. Or does Alex have to do all the cooking?
No, Alex doesn't cook, no.
Well, it's just the pressure, isn't it? I hate serving you anything.
No, do you know what? People say that all the time. Honestly, if you cook for a chef, there's little pressure, because we're just pleased we're not cooking. Genuinely, there's just that relief that someone's feeding me, and there's and just because I'm a chef, I'm not.
Party question in a bit, and I don't think you'd be at mine, Pete. I'm sorry.
Oh, right, fair enough.
I'd be too scared. Like, you'd be like, "What is this?"
Nah,
you'd tell me honestly.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not. I'm not rude to someone. If I'm invited around to someone's house, I'm not going to sit there and slate the food.
Not to my face, maybe behind my back.
Maybe.
No, it would. I imagine a bit like a bit of a busman's holiday. Then in the end of the day, I wouldn't. I'm pleased that you'd cook a roast dinner for yourself to make yourself feel better, because that is actually quite a feat, isn't it? That's not like I feel rubbish, I'm going to grab something from the kitchen kind of thing. Even the paella is still a big thing to cook. So I'm pleased with that. I would imagine it'd be the opposite way around, and you would literally just super noodles at home.
I was literally just going to say, you can't beat just a bowl of super noodles sometimes when you get home. Boil the kettle, 2 minutes later, away you go. I steer clear of the noodles in pots. They're not quite my thing, but we still eat some fast food and things like that. Love a KFC. KFC is a very chefy thing, actually. Just on looking at chef, looking at like chef groups on Facebook and stuff like that. If anyone ever asks what their kind of favourite fast food is, KFC always comes out on top. even to, I think, like Gordon Ramsay's said about it in his autobiography or something as well, or on a podcast. I think it was actually on Desert Island Discs that Gordon Ramsay had said that sometimes just driving home with a bucket of KFC after work is just as good for him as it is for anyone else.
A jarring sight, really, to think of a top chef at a good restaurant leaving home with not a bowl for their own food, but with a bucket of KFC.
It's good though, isn't it?
Interesting though, in terms of having to cook your own food and things like that. I know you and Alex have a wedding coming up in some point in the horizon.
Don't we all?
Bless Hannah's had to reschedule hers 3 times now.
Nightmare.
But how on earth do you approach that as a chef? Like, do you want to cook your own food? Do you want someone to cook it for you? Like, I was the same when I did wedding videography. I don't want to film my own wedding, but I also don't want to pay someone to film it for me because I've got the skill to do it. But like, I also don't want to have to do it. So, how do you approach that?
Yeah, there was a little bit. I said from day one, like, I'm in charge of the food, kind of thing. Like, if there's anything food,
I don't think there's any ever doubt in Alex's mind.
Yeah, and she was fine. She was like, yeah, that's fine, that's not an issue. And I was like, you can do everything else, I'll just do the food. But yeah, because I think people would, coming to a chef's wedding, I think people obviously are going to expect that the food's going to be good. So I was actually really lucky. I just happened to. I was having a quick Google around, and one of the first people that I'd found and jumped onto her Instagram just instantly clicked with her ethos of using local produce. Again, they were very environmentally conscious and stuff as well. So I gave her a ring just for a quick chat, and I think we had like an hour and a half phone conversation where we were just chatting about food and things like that. So yeah, it sounds a bit corny, but it was just like I kind of knew straight away. I was like, actually, yeah.
Well, at first sight, food-wise.
Yeah. It was like, actually, Anika, like you're good. So then was discussing like menu and what we wanted to do, because we don't want to do the kind of traditional wedding menu where you get chicken and they just pop a bit of sauce on the top and some cold flaccid potatoes served to the side of you. So yeah, we're going a bit different, and just making the food a bit more enjoyable during the day as well. We did a tasting, and it was amazing. I was just like, straight away. We was having a bit of a debate as to whether her brownies were better than my brownies. And I actually seem to think Alex sided with her, actually.
How rude.
Yeah, I was a bit gutted about.
She's supposed to lie to you, isn't she? Say, yes, dear, yours, and then to her.
I'd rather she was honest, I think, to be honest. Yeah. I've always been like that with friends and family, when they come and eat and stuff. Because sometimes when you cook for friends and family, you're doing it because you want some like honest feedback before you're sending it out to paying customers. And you're like, oh yeah, it was really good. And you're like, yeah, no, but was it really good? Yeah, it was delicious. It was perfect. And you're like, no. There must have been something wrong. Like, please, can you just give me something? And they're like, no, it was great. And you're just like, oh my God, yeah. And you're just like, I just tell me the chicken was dry or something, please, for the love of God. I generally I've thought a few times actually about like testing my mum or dad and maybe just giving them some like really kind of like burn, like really, like I don't know, just doing something where it just tastes rank and just seeing whether they come back and be like, yeah, no, that was disgusting. I don't know what you've done wrong. Maybe something to try out sometime.
I should be listening to this. I should be wise to it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I cannot imagine your mum not giving honest feedback, if I'm honest.
No, I think it's just a mum thing, though, isn't it? I think
it is,
you're not. I don't think she's ever going to want to kind of fully critique her children and stuff like that. Even though I'm not the favourite, but
Is that Jeff? I assume that's Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's favourite. Which she'll be like, oh no, it's not true, and it's like, Mum, it's fine, I know about it. It's not an issue. I've dealt with it. I've seen my therapist. We've sorted it out. It's
you're a middle child like me. I know how it feels.
Yeah. We're just like the run to the litter, aren't we? So.
I'm middle child, but only daughter, so I guess I get to elevate.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I didn't have that.
That's the only time when middle child actually makes a difference and rises the ranks a little bit when you're the only daughter.
Well, the flip side of that is being the middle child and coming out ginger. Like, you just cast away. Like, do we really have to keep this one?
That is not true.
No, it's not. No. My mum loves me. No, she does.
She does. Right. Now to bring this to a close, we ask one question to every single guest that we have. And I did prep you for this one, and it gives us a nice little bit of a flavour on the kind of person that you are as well. So, question is, if you were to have a dinner party and you could invite 3 people, alive or dead, who would you pick and why? And actually, for you, I might add an extra layer. What would you serve them?
Oh, I didn't know I would be cooking. Am I cooking?
It's your dinner party.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. Well, we'll start off with, we'd go with beans and toast as a starter.
Beans with?
Yeah, beans with toast, super noodles and a scone for dessert. Done. Dinner parties they're interesting because obviously from a chef you want to impress your friends with good food, but at the same time you don't want to spend all night in the kitchen. You see obviously like people on Come Dine With Me and things like that where they've gone a bit too intricate and then they're spending like all of the night just in the kitchen. And at the end of the day, if you're having a dinner party, you want to be sat in there with your friends and having a laugh. So yeah, what would I serve? Probably something that we could prepare in advance that isn't too time consuming cooking wise. So maybe a beef Wellington, because it's still a little bit flash and showy offy. Do you know what I mean? If you've got a nice pink beef Wellington, you can prep that well, like you can prep that in advance and stuff. So yeah, we'd maybe go with something like that, or just a good quality steak as well. Yeah, I think I'd probably keep the food quite simple. With regards to who I would invite, I would say I probably would go for Gordon Ramsay. Just for a laugh, although
it's
like
not adding the layer of pressure if
yeah,
you're cooking for him.
Well, yeah, but like I say, I think he'd just be pleased that someone else is cooking dinner for him as well. So
you can serve Gordon Ramsay KFC, so it's fine.
Yeah. We'll just serve him some chicken. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be fun. And even if he didn't enjoy the meal, it'd be fun just to see him flip out and throwing plates across the dining room, wouldn't it? And calling me all these names under the sun.
Just remember not to serve it on the best crockery.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's a bit of a cliche answer, but I would go with Jeremy Clarkson. Again, just because there's just something about him, and seeing him on like the new runs of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. His knowledge is quite fascinating. Actually, he's got really good knowledge of like 70s, 80s pop culture and that kind of classic rock music and stuff as well. And he's seen the world. The stories that he would be able to tell from just traveling the world. I think would just be really good. And he's not afraid to speak his mind, which
I guess is the worry. You've got 2 very well-spoken people there. Like, you could have some fireworks that
I
think that's. If they don't agree on something.
I think that'd make it more fun, though, wouldn't it? If it was a bit of a kick-off early on. Yeah. You just I'd be joining in. I'd be riling them up. I'd find out what wound each other up and just try and drop it into conversation. Just because I'm a wind-up merchant, that is literally me.
And who's number 3?
Do you know what?
Surely you're going to have someone to balance them 2 out, or are you going to go even something?
No, I thought. Do you know? I was thinking. I thought if I'm going down controversial, it'd be nice to have some female. Someone there at the dinner table. So controversially, we'd go with Margaret Thatcher. And, and throw her amongst
I'd have Maggie Thatcher. I think I'd have, I'm on with you on that
conversation.
And again, I think she's a fascinating woman, and she's very controversial. I'm not going to go into my kind of political side of things and stuff like that, but there was obviously some decisions she made during office that I'd love to get more info about and what have you, and kind of grill her a little bit more. She's a very intelligent woman. She was a scientist before she went into politics. She invented Mr. Whippy ice cream, so she would be able to supply dessert.
Did she?
For us, yeah. So Mr. Whippy soft serve ice cream. She was on the team of scientists that invented Mr. Whippy.
I did not know that.
There you go. Yeah.
Fun fact.
So whenever you have a 99,
this podcast have learnt about that, and that they can feed their dogs broccoli stalks.
There you go.
What great knowledge they've got.
Mr. Whippy and broccoli.
Yeah.
That's what I bring to the table. Who needs Dan?
If you come into our restaurant in the future going, hey, that's the guy that taught us about broccoli and Mr. Whippy.
Yeah. If I ever have a 99 with a flake in, I'm always thinking of Maggie at the time.
Sounds a bit grim.
Does a little bit, actually, yeah. You took that to a different place. I didn't mean that.
Sorry, I've already replaced Danny. You've replaced Danny, and I'm coming out with all my gold.
That's Danny's role, usually. Oh, man. Right, well, it's been fantastic having you on. You've been a great guest, great representative of Lincolnshire as a whole, but also the Lincolnshire, the Food Network. So thanks very much, Pete.
Thank you very much. Nice to have spoken to you.